Welcome back. Julian Assange is the subject of tonight's Focus report. The 39-year-old founder of the WikiLeaks website was granted bail today by a London court, this on a surety of almost €300,000. Now, he faces allegations of rape and sexual assault on 2 women in Sweden. But as bail was announced, the Swedish authorities launched an appeal, which means that Assange remains tonight in custody pending the result of that. The man, of course, behind the website that exposes secret diplomatic cables to the embarrassment, notably the United States of America, says that the case, this is the rape and sexual assault case, is trumped up because of his internet activities. It's been brought against him to kind of keep him in line. We'll have more on this with our special guest after our Focus report.
He's the whistleblower that's become a thorn in the side of the US government, revealing secrets they would rather not have in the public domain. Julian Assange now faces extradition to Sweden after 2 women accused him of sexual misconduct. His supporters say the allegations are part of a politically motivated smear campaign. From prison on Monday, he said he still believed releasing the diplomatic cables was right. And it's this conviction that's made him some powerful enemies.
The United States strongly condemns the illegal disclosure of classified information. It puts people's lives in danger, threatens our national security, and undermines our efforts to work with other countries to solve shared problems.
On July 26th, WikiLeaks released 90,000 classified US documents on the war in Afghanistan. The US government was furious, saying the revelations could put lives at risk. But still, the avalanche of leaked cables continued, kicking up a diplomatic storm. The disclosures have offended some US allies and angered its rivals. Washington claims some countries have already cut back their dealings with the US. But there's been an explosion of public protest around the world in defense of Assange. Many feel that bringing into the open what's going on behind the diplomatic scenes sets an important precedent, not least Assange himself.
If the Pentagon wants to be treated seriously as an organization that promotes democracy and the founding values of the United States, then it must protect what the United States founders considered to be their central value, which is freedom of the press.
Last week, PayPal, Visa and MasterCard stopped processing payments to WikiLeaks, saying the website was engaged in illegal activity. They soon found themselves under cyber attack by so-called hacktivists who temporarily brought down their websites. Journalists, too, say the tide is turning.
I certainly think that there's been a huge groundswell of approval for Assange, and that most journalists I know are now very pro-Assange, very pro-WikiLeaks, and I've seen that change hugely. Assange came here to City University to talk in October, and many people went to the talk thinking that Assange was an irresponsible person, and they left the talk thinking, no, this is very important and should happen.
Meanwhile, the steady stream of leaked information is set to continue. Assange's former deputy plans to launch a rival site called OpenLeaks, which he claims will be more transparent than WikiLeaks. Whether he's the modern-day Robin Hood of computer hacking or an irresponsible criminal, what Assange has started may prove unstoppable.
Just to bring you the very latest, Assange is expected to remain in custody for at least 2 more days after Swedish prosecutors challenged the decision to grant him bail in London. I'm joined here in the studio by Pierre Conesa, a former civil servant at the French Ministry of Defence. Mr. Conesa, thank you very much for joining us. Let's separate the sexual crime and the rape allegations. Let's deal with the WikiLeaks angle of things. In your opinion, is Julian Assange a hero or a villain?
That's a strange question, because I'm not sure that he's a hero nor an angel, because, well, you know, I quite agree with the Swedish justice. I think the Swedish justice is a fair one. So if there is sexual harassment, well, I think that Mr. Assange has to go to Sweden and be judged. That's the first point. The other point, which is the WikiLeaks affairs, in that case, I think that all the democratic governments are not fair, because in all this affair, you know that you have also 5 very important newspapers. And why do they don't ask to arrest the editors of these 5 important newspapers? What's the difference between Assange and the Monde and the New York Times, etc.?
Okay, so it's a question of basically everybody's guilty of the same crime and they should all be pursued on that. That's what you're saying.
Well, if there is an affair, I mean, if it's a spy affair, I think that they have to be condemned too. But who is asking for them to be arrested? No. You understand what I mean?
I hear what you're saying. From your knowledge, though, of the inside of how governments work, how defence works, and do you see what Assange is doing as a real risk, as something that causes problems to how governments protect the people?
Well, you know, it's a very old debate because as far as I've seen in the newspaper, there were no state secret. There is no defense secret. There is state secret, which is quite different because you know that the government everywhere in the world doesn't like to be in the regard of the public opinion on some affairs, I mean in diplomatic affairs, for example. And so I've read a lot of articles about, you know, these leaks and these secret cables. Some are very shamey, and some not. There is no defense secret in there.
What would have happened if this had been done specifically attacking France, you know, so exposing French secrets, exposing French diplomatic cables, exposing what Nicolas Sarkozy said about somebody and those kind of things? Surely there'd have been stronger action.
Well, you know, in France we have a newspaper which is very well known. It's the Canard Enchaîné, and every week, the chained duck, who was born just after the First World War to fight against propaganda. And every week, the Canard Enchaîné is publishing what you can call state secret. And nobody is asking for the forbidding of Canard Enchaîné. So why? Because it's so easy, I mean, to focus, you know, on Mr. Assange because you have sexual crime, etc. If there is sexual crime, well, he must be extradited to Sweden. But if there is a pursuit coming from United States on spy affairs, it could happen too in England.
Okay.
Why there is no...
We need to keep an eye on how this all develops. Pierre, thank you very much. Pierre Canessa, formerly of the French Defence Ministry. That's tonight's focus. Stay with us here on France 24.